Hi, folks. Dr. Jim Gishwin here, PhD, former intelligence analyst for Office of Naval Intelligence in the Pentagon under Reagan. Hey, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? This is it. Now, I teach history, I study history, and I'm telling you, most great countries only last about 300 years. And I broke the Roman Empire up into the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire, and it's 300 years each, okay, before their downfall. Well, this is our downfall coming up, folks. If Kamala gets in, the United States of America doesn't exist anymore. We are a Marxist country. The Constitution is gone, and I expect there'll be violence no matter who wins. I'm just wondering whether or not they'll actually peacefully turn over power. They're trying everything in the book. Let me ask you something. The betting odds were like 70% for Trump, okay? And now sit there overnight, suddenly I see a little ticker across the bottom of the news screen saying that Harris's odds are now better than Trump's. Overnight? Is the fix already in without us knowing it? Thank God Virginia is allowed to sit there and take those illegals off the voting rolls. How many other states have got that? And Trump knows what the figures are for how many jobs Black Americans and Spanish Americans lost. And here's the thing. They're not going to release those officially until after the election. Of course not. They're horrible. Because every single 100% of the job gains have gone to illegals, not to Americans. So what is it going to be, folks? Do you want to surrender your guns? Do you want to sit there and live in chaos like Mad Max? That's the chaos that'll come under Marxism, I'll guarantee you. Not that I belong to any violent groups, but I'm telling you, they're out there, both sides. And Kamala is the one that sits there and still is part of that organization that she raised money for to sit there and let rioters that kill police, thousands of police, during our summer of love, bail them out of jail. So how is she going to keep the peace in America? And she's going to disband ICE? Okay? She sat there and said there was nothing she would change. Now, who do you think was in charge besides Jill? And don't get me on that, because I'm upset at the Marine Corps for sitting there doing a Hail to Jill thing that she requested when she entered the room, instead of the Hail to the Chief. Now, when Joe was for 400 days, over 400, because he's still on the beach, when he was on the beach, the vice president was in charge, man. Unless it was Jill. And that's pretty unconstitutional. And, you know, I wish Trump would mention more about the Constitution in his speeches. The whole abortion thing, I teach my class. Anything that is not in the Constitution as an enumerated power belongs to the states and the people. There is nothing in there for medical or for education in the Constitution. That is the state's responsibility. Now, Nixon, with his revenue-sharing plan way back when, kind of screwed that up. If you want the federal government to sit there and get in your knickers and give you money, they always got a catch. And the catch is, you got to do what they want you to do if you're going to get the money. And that's grants, you name it, okay? Block grants, all of that stuff. It comes with a catch. Always a catch. It's like Reagan said, the most fearful words in America are, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you. And he said, government is not the solution. Government is the problem. Our government has gotten too big, out of control. And we need Elon Musk to go in there with his efficiency stuff and sit there and cut the fat. He also sits there and Trump needs to sit there in the intelligence and FBI communities, and probably Secret Service now too, and cut down to past middle management and appoint his own people. No, I'm not saying that you've got to take a loyalty oath to Trump, a loyalty oath, which we already do, to the Constitution and what it stands for. The Constitution is a flexible instrument. That's why we got so many amendments, for God's sake. I believe in the Constitution. I am more of a constitutionalist than I am anything else. I've gotten awards for teaching the Constitution. You don't need to be a legal scholar. All you need to do is read it. All of my students get a pocket copy. And when I say something up in front of them, I expect them to sit there and flip through those pages and say, no, you're wrong. And sometimes I do it on purpose. It usually happens in the last semester of my senior classes when they sit there and do that. And that's my aha moment. Thank you for proving me wrong. I want you to research. I want you to think on your own. You're the only people that have a cerebral cortex on this planet. Other creatures, by habit, okay? Instinct. That's not how we act. We have reason because of that cerebral cortex, folks. Use it. Don't sit there and fall for all the lies. You know, they project. Now, what is projection? Well, I like to explain it to people. It's not a good example, but it's one you can all probably identify with. Someone passing gas in an elevator. Who's the first one to sit there and say something? The person that did it. Everyone else is just looking at each other, you know. You know, that's an old joke. I'm sorry. I'm an old man. Next month I turn 3/4 of a century old. I'm as old as Red China and a year younger than Israel. But here's the thing. I have met military retired people that don't know what Red China is. Now, we know that the Shah of Iran has sit there and put a hit on Trump, and he swears the Ayatollah has sat there and put out that he wants Trump dead before the election. He's only got a couple days left. I hope it doesn't happen. I pray it doesn't happen. But that doesn't mean those hit squads are not going away. And it makes me wonder, actually it doesn't, because I've asked the students about it, about all these thousands of Middle Eastern terrorists that come in across our border. You know, besides the criminals in the MS-13, okay, which Trump says he's going to get rid of. But how many terror cells do we have now in this country? So if Iran decides to do something, she can proxy put out, okay, it's time for a mass hit. Hit here, 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 and there. Do it coordinated. If I was the Ayatollah, that's the way I'd think about it. If I had my people in this country, and he does. And I also wonder why we're getting thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of fighting age males, especially Chinese. What is that all about? And of course, Bill Gates sitting there helping China buy up all our farmland and leaving it empty. Buying up land also near military bases up in the Dakotas and whatnot. This has got to stop, people. It's got to stop. And you can stop it. Trump can fix it. He's an old bullshit man. He's a doer, not a talker. Okay? Last time, he fulfilled almost every campaign promise he made. Every one. And I certainly would like not to have my Social Security tax, that's for sure, or my retirement tax. I mean, I earned that. It's tough enough. And now I have a grandson down here helping me, air quotes. But he's a good man, good kid. He's thinking of the Marine Corps Reserve. He would be fifth generation military in our family, just like his older brothers are. One in Pope Air Base, and one that became a cryptologic technician for the Navy. Went through Corey down here. I pray that my other grandsons, and I got more of them, don't get drafted. I pray there's not a World War III. I remember that old prophecy saying that when Israel becomes a state, that will become the beginning of the apocalypse. I forget who prophesied that. It must have been Nostradamus. I don't know. But my mom said that to me once, long time ago, when I was a little itty-bitty kid. And I love my mother. Her slapping my knuckles was worse than the nuns in school. She taught me to read at an early age. I drove them nuts. They had to sit there and buy so many books. I would devour everything. Shakespeare, you name it. Plato. And that's as a kid. Well, folks, all I can say is the time for praying is now, and the time for voting is now. Your choice, Marxist totalitarianism or the U.S. and Constitution. I love you. God bless you. I remain your humble servant.